Welcome back, fight fans. Welcome back. Welcome back. Let's just dig right into it. Saul Canelo Alvarez admits that Danny Jacobs will be a difficult fight. So let's just break down what Canelo Alvarez said, his direct quotes. And, the odds for, Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Danny Jacobs means that Canelo Alvarez is a 4-1 favorite over Danny Jacobs. There's a lot of people who have a lot of faith and confidence that Canelo Alvarez should beat Danny Jacobs. But I'm here to tell you, throw out a lot of these comments and just really dissect the fight unbiasedly and honestly and objectively. And I do believe Canelo Alvarez will win this fight. I think he can beat Danny Jacobs. I think he will beat Danny Jacobs. But I don't think it'll be an easy fight. I think it'll be a very difficult fight, a close fight. And don't also be surprised if there's a rematch or something like that, because I think it's a 50-50 fight. And Danny Jacobs will be Canelo Alvarez's most difficult opponent to date, aside from Floyd Mayweather, because you have to understand that Danny Jacobs is a huge guy. He can possibly win this fight. He could possibly beat Canelo. So you must take Danny Jacobs serious. A lot of guys are overlooking him, not realizing it's a 50-50 fight. And that lets you know how serious that Canelo Alvarez take this fight, how hard he trains for this fight, and how he views his opponents. Because, Danny Jacobs is a world champion, and he was a former world champion. He went, straight up with Triple G for 12 rounds. I believe he might have edged Triple G in that fight by at least a round. It was a very good, close, competitive fight. Danny Jacobs is no easy opponent. Canelo Alvarez, his record stands at 51-1 with 2 draws, 35 knockouts. And then if you look at Danny Jacobs, he's 35 wins, 2 losses, and 29 knockouts. So his knockout percentage is very, very high, similar to Canelo Alvarez's, but even more impressive than Canelo's. So this is going to be a difficult fight. Danny Jacobs is used to the middleweight division for a long time, and he has so many different styles at which he can box. Another reason why this will be difficult for Canelo Alvarez is the fact that, Canelo Alvarez is 28 years old, just entering his prime, probably the youngest fighter with the best resume today. Period. Canelo Alvarez is 5'8" with a 70.5-inch reach. Now, the discrepancy here with Danny Jacobs, he's 32, which is still young, much younger than a Triple G who's pushing 36, 37, and he's 5'11.5" with a 73-inch reach. So Danny Jacobs is going to have a height and reach advantage. Danny Jacobs is going to still be a fighter that's in his prime, unlike Triple G. And he's a fighter that can punch. So all of these things taken in consideration, this will be an extremely difficult fight for Canelo Alvarez. I believe a 50-50 fight, but I think Canelo can pull out the fight and the victory. Now, one thing that Canelo Alvarez states that is very interesting, he said it'll be a difficult fight until he imposes his will and his style on the fight. He said it'll be a difficult fight because of Danny Jacobs' style as well, because Danny Jacobs can move. He can make you have to cut off the ring. Danny Jacobs can use his height and reach advantage to fight tall and long, to keep a guy at distance and out of range. So Danny Jacobs can do a lot of things in the ring and make a lot of adjustments. So this is where I believe Danny Jacobs truly meets his match, because he's meeting a Canelo Alvarez who can do those things as well, but Canelo Alvarez can break down the body not like many fighters can do today. So Canelo Alvarez, I believe the key to this game for him is getting inside, working Danny Jacobs' body, and wearing him down, stopping the movement by going to the body early and often and working his way inside. I believe Canelo Alvarez could even possibly stop Danny Jacobs by working the body and going inside. I think it's a very close fight, 50-50 fight. Do not be fooled by a lot of people coming out here saying, oh, it's one way, it's this way. And while I do believe Canelo will win this fight, I don't think it'll be easy. I think it'll be difficult. But if Canelo, for some reason, does make this an easy fight, if Canelo for some reason does do this a lot easier than many people expect, that's a testament to how great Canelo is at this point in his career, how impressive he is, and what level of that he's fighting on currently, because no fighter has ever went in the ring and dominated Danny Jacobs. I know a lot of people talk about it, Dimitri Pirog, but that was at a time when Danny Jacobs was suffering with cancer and his grandmother literally had just passed away, and he took that fight. So these are a lot of things that you have to consider in. If you lost someone and you had cancer, you don't think you'd fight at your best. And Danny Jacobs never got a chance to right that wrong because Pirog is no longer fighting. I eliminate that off the books. I don't think Jacobs is chinny, because at the same time, if you look at that, Danny Jacobs has never been stopped in a fight since that. I understand that Sergio Mora had dropped Danny Jacobs in the fight, but at the same time, Danny Jacobs dominated that fight against Sergio. They say Triple G dropped Danny. It looked more like a push to me, but Danny was never injured, hurt, or dropped again in that fight after that particular incident. So Danny Jacobs is a very resilient, big, and strong fighter. This will be a tough matchup for Canelo Alvarez, and I believe this will be an excellent experience to showcase exactly what level Saul Canelo Alvarez is on. But once again, Unbiased as always, it's the IBFP. Please share, like, and you must absolutely subscribe.